transitive verbs and intransitive verbs. X killed Y. Dun dun dun. X killed Y in Japanese is X は or X が Y を殺した. If you change the frame size and focus only on Y, you can also describe this event this way. Y died. Y は or Y が死んだ. Both sentences describe the same event, but from different perspectives. Kill, 殺す is a transitive verb. Die, 死ぬ is an intransitive verb. In Japanese, intransitive verbs are called 自動詞. 動詞 means verb, and 自 means self. 自動詞 refers to an action that the subject performs by itself, without directly affecting other things. Other examples of 自動詞 are 寝る, sleep, 歩く, walk, and so on. On the other hand, transitive verbs are called 他動詞. 他 means others. 他動詞 refers to an action that the subject performs on other things. They directly affect other things. In grammatical terms, these other things are called objects. Other examples of 他動詞 are 食べる, eat, 読む, read, and so on. In Japanese, objects are marked with the お particle, which means 他動詞 are used with お. Of course, it's okay to omit it though, if it's clear from the context. But 自動詞, intransitive verbs, never take an object. So the concept of transitive and intransitive verbs is not difficult, right? And it's not unique to Japanese. Most languages, including English, have this concept. However, many people find it confusing because in English, a lot of verbs can be both transitive and intransitive. I open the window. I open the window. In this sentence, open is transitive. The window opened. The window opened. In this sentence, open is intransitive. So open in English can be both transitive and intransitive. But in Japanese, we use two different verbs. 私は窓を開けた. 窓が開いた. 開ける is transitive. 開く is intransitive. They sound similar, but these are two completely different verbs. Another example. I broke the computer. I broke the computer. It's transitive. The computer broke. The computer broke. It's intransitive. Again, in Japanese, different verbs are used. パソコンを壊した. パソコンが壊れた. 壊す is transitive. 壊れる is intransitive. Again, they sound similar, but these are two separate verbs. When should I use 他動詞 versus 自動詞? I get this question a lot from my students. Like, when should I say パソコンを壊した versus パソコンが壊れた? Don't they mean the same thing? The answer to this question is really simple. Think about this pair again. When do you say X killed Y versus Y died in English? Well, first of all, if Y died of old age, for example, no one killed Y, so you cannot say X killed Y, because it simply isn't true. You have to say Y died. If someone did kill Y, then you can say someone killed Y. However, even in this case, you can still say Y died if you're focusing on the fact that Y is dead, rather than who caused it. For example, I'm sad that Y died. Y が死んで悲しいです. This is natural. But I'm sad that X killed Y. X が Y を殺して悲しいです。This is not wrong, but it feels a bit unusual, both in Japanese and English, right? Why? Because you're sad that Y is gone, not necessarily because X killed Y. Like, even if someone else had killed Y, or if Y had died in another way, you would still feel sad, right? So in this context, the focus is on Y's death, not on who caused it. Now let's go back to these sentences. In the same way, if no one broke the computer, if it just broke on its own, you should say パソコンが壊れた. You cannot say パソコンを壊した. But if someone did break it, for example, let's say your older sister broke it, then you can say 姉がパソコンを壊した. My older sister broke the computer. However, even in this case, you can still say パソコンが壊れた if who caused it is not important. For example, let's say your friend asks, 一緒にゲームしない? Want to play a video game together? You could reply, ごめん、パソコンが壊れたからできない. Sorry, I can't because my computer broke. Here, it doesn't matter whether someone broke it or not. It's not important information, dear friend. The point is just that the computer is broken. It's not working. That's the point. So this frame size is big enough. But of course, if you want to give more detail, you can also say, ごめん、姉がパソコンを壊したからできない. Sorry, I can't because my older sister broke the computer. This is less common, but not wrong. I would probably speak like this if I'm still mad at my sister. Like, because my sister broke it, I can't play the game. Now, what happens if I omit this 姉が? Now, do these two sentences mean the same thing? No. Even when it's omitted, it still means someone broke it. The frame size is different. The focus is different. Let's look at more transitive and intransitive verb pairs. X は or X が Y を閉める. X closes Y. Y は or Y が閉まる. Y closes. Y を始める. Someone or something starts Y. Y が始まる. Y starts. Y をつける. Turn on Y. Y がつく. Y comes on. Y を消す. Erase Y. Y が消える. Y disappears. Y を入れる. Put Y in. Y が入る. Y enters. Y を出す. Push Y out. Y が出る. Y leaves. Y を上げる. Raise Y. Y が上がる. Y rises. Y を集める. Collect Y. Y が集まる. Y gathers. Y を壊す. Break Y. Y が壊れる. Y breaks. Y を折る. Snap Y. Y が折れる. Y snaps. Y を直す. Heal Y. Fix Y. Y が治る. Y recovers. Y を落とす. Drop Y. Y が落ちる. Y falls. And so on. There's so many more. Unfortunately, you just have to memorize them. Yeah, I'm so sorry. However, there are some patterns. Well, they don't always work. There are a lot of exceptions, but here are a few general trends, general tendencies. 1. If it ends with ある, it tends to be intransitive. And if you change the ある to 得る, it often becomes transitive. 2. If it ends with れる, it tends to be intransitive. And 3, if it ends with su, it's transitive. Again, these are just general trends. At the end of the day, you just have to memorize them. Yeah, I'm so sorry. Note: while there are many transitive and intransitive verb pairs, many verbs don't have a pair. For example, 食べる eat, 読む read, and 見る watch. These are transitive verbs that don't have intransitive pairs. お寿司を食べる I eat sushi. I eat sushi. The intransitive version of this sentence doesn't exist. If you really want to describe this event from the sushi's point of view for some reason, you can use the passive form and say sushi is eaten by me. The passive form of 食べる is 食べられる. We'll learn about the passive form in lesson 37. お寿司は私に食べられる. Sushi is eaten by me. Like 歩く walk, 寝る sleep, 行く go. There are also a lot of intransitive verbs that don't have a transitive pair. 私は歩く I walk. I walk. The transitive version of this sentence doesn't exist. If there is someone who causes you to walk, you can use the causative form. My friend makes me walk. The causative form of 歩く is 歩かせる. We will learn about the causative form in lesson 48. 友達は私を歩かせる. My friend makes me walk. So for now, just remember, while there are so many transitive and intransitive verb pairs in Japanese, the majority of verbs still don't have a pair. Advanced note. I said transitive verbs can take the o particle, and intransitive verbs cannot. However, in some rare cases, some intransitive verbs can take the o particle. For example, 公園を歩く 家を出る This is because the o particle is used not only to mark objects, but also passing points and starting points. 公園を歩く means I walk through the park. This o means through. So 公園 is not the object. It's just the passing point. By the way, if you say 公園に歩く or 公園へ歩く, it means I walk to the park, because に and へ mark arriving points. And 公園で歩く means I take a walk in the park, within the park, because で marks the place where the action takes place. But 公園を歩く means I walk through the park. 家を出る means I leave from the house, or I depart from the house. This を means from. I know that in English you just say I leave the house instead of I leave from the house. But the point is, 家 is not the object, at least in Japanese. It's just the starting point. This o is interchangeable with the から particle. 家から出る means the same thing. まとめ. So in today's lesson, we learned about transitive and intransitive verbs, or 他動詞 and 自動詞 in Japanese. 他動詞 is an action that the subject performs on objects. 自動詞 is an action that the subject performs by itself without directly affecting anything else. 他動詞 can take an object, meaning it can take the o particle. And 自動詞 cannot take an object, meaning it cannot take the o particle. However, in rare cases, 自動詞 can take the o particle. but only when it marks a passing point or a starting point instead of an object. That's all for today. 今日のレッスンはちょっと難しかったと思いますけど、最後まで見てくれてありがとうございます。じゃあ次の動画でまた会いましょう。じゃあまたね。バイバイ。